So, hello guys. If you're on the call, please go ahead, drop a message for the others, let them join so that at least they know that we are live at the moment. So, again, happy new year to everyone. Hope your new year started out great. Welcome back. Classes have started. We have Will on the call, so we'll be picking up from here. Thank you, Will. Welcome once again.
Okay, I just want to confirm, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So,
Hello,
guys,
can
if
you
you
guys
can
hear
hear
me?
him, you know the local ways. Just drop a message in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so can
Hello.
you guys hear me?
Yes, I can
Can
hear
you
you,
guys hear
Will.
me? All right.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so hi everyone. So today will be in the last class we actually stopped at grid system. So we looked at that. I um we according to our schedule, you guys are supposed to like start JavaScript by next week. However, we still have some couple of topics to cover when it comes to um, uh, web design and all that stuff. So, what's going to happen today is that I'm going to um, like we are going to there's a project that we are going to code, um, and how it's going to work is we are going to um, look at all the things we've been learning and we apply it into coding the specific project so that you guys could see how coding a Figma template from scratch and how we could like build it further to make it look really really pretty, right? I'll be introducing during the process of coding that template. I may introduce like new concepts you guys are maybe not be familiar with, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it so you guys get the gist of it. All right, so without further to do, let's get started, right? So I'm going to share my screen. Uh, okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Share entire screen. Right. So all right. So this is what we'll be working on. This template. You guys have all seen this template over and over and over again during our classes, but I just want to show you guys something quickly. So I've actually designed this template before, and I can show you guys how it looks live. And we are going to what's going to happen is the coding is going to happen like really fast because I don't want to spend so much time so that you guys could see. I'll just explain concepts when it comes to the actual code itself. Um, you guys will be able to figure more. When it comes to the coding itself, it's not really very difficult if you guys grasp the concept. So this is basically the template you guys saw earlier, right? So this is the template, and this is how it looks live, right? So we have if we scroll, you can see the menu. It's like stick to the top, and there's like a shadow underneath. We have these things moving, right? Here we have like words that change. So they say, let's begin to explore modern, unique, uh, new clothes for whatever. So basically, it's stuff. Then you can see like there's like small animations here with all these things twisting. We also have animations on the navigation bar as well as this button. So as you can see, we have animations in this button, and as you can see, this thing shakes. So what happened with that is that when we refresh the page initially, so if I should refresh, watch what happens. So you can see this thing slides in and then it starts to shake, right? So it slides in and starts to shake. So that's basically the animation we have there. We also have this button here. We also have this one's rotating, and you can see the girl in this figure. You can see she expands and uh, and reduce based on what's it called? Just to it's a way of expressing uh moving. I was looking at this. I actually thought I could even add another animation whereby the head could be the picture will be tilting to the right and the left based on to give it as it's expanding and reducing in size, it will be tilting left and right. We could add as much animations as we want. We have this part of this website here where you have this list of items here. So we have this design here as well, but you can see it's like a carousel. It moves and it moves on its own. Then there's animations on these buttons as well. As you can see, this animated in. So if you go back, you can see it animates in this yellow stuff. So when we go up and come down, go up, come down, you can see it animates in, right? So there's also a little bit of animation here. You could see it's increasing its size. Is I just want to confirm you guys are following through the animation, isn't it? So um, please, can you confirm for me if they are following through the animation? Okay, so I'll just continue with the assumption you guys are following through. So as you can see, this increases in size when you hover on them, and that's like a subtle animation. And we also have this wrinkly star stuff here as well, but there's no animation on this person, but we have this thing wiggling as well, this payday stuff. And there's also animation on this button as well, as you can see. And yeah, so this one has the same animation with the with this one here. As you can see, they have the same animation when you hover on them. And now we have this one. So basically, this is this section of the website. So we are talking about this section right here. So as you can see in this place, the animation I did was that this stuff keeps rotating, right? And there's like wiggly stuff behind it. And if we hover on this, you could see it tilts based on following the cursor, right? As you guys can see, if you tilt it based on following the cursor. There's also animations in this individual item here as well, right? So that's the animation we have there. Then we have the footer. There's nothing crazy happening here. It's just the footer and stuff. And also, this website has I have to switch to my headset. Just give me a minute. Okay. All right. So uh okay. So so now if we should go to like a mobile view, So let's see. I should have this mobile view plugin here. So this is a mobile view, right? So this is how the site looks. So as you can see on the mobile view, the items here are reduced to like just two per sitting. Then we don't have that girly image bouncing off and all that stuff. And this is how the mobile menu looks. So once you click on it, you can see we have this kind of like uh, animation come as it pops down, and we have the different the icon changes. Then if we hover on it, it has a different animation style, right? When we hover, right? And yeah, and if you scroll up, okay, so how do we scroll? Yeah, just a finger. Okay, so if you scroll, you can see the animations be applied, still remain, and you can see now these are no longer in a row, but they are stacked one on top of each other, right? And here we don't have that girl at the left anymore. We just have the whole payday stuff. But this one, we maintain this layout, though they look smaller, but we also maintain this layout. And with that icon, that phone icon that was supposed to be here, we don't see it here as well. Uh, for the download stuff, we don't see that phone icon here. And the menu, as you can see, is fixed. So once you click, or once you scroll, it doesn't change. And you can see the footer looks a little bit different. We have the items lined up straight, right? So and I don't think I didn't add actions to this button, but basically this is like the UI. So we are going to go over through this code step by step, getting to do as much as we can. Hopefully, we will be able to cover between now and tomorrow. We'll be able to understand how to convert a design to Figma, right? And for those of you who are wondering how it looks on a tablet, so this is the iPad Pro. It's like iPad 4, right? So if we should use this device, this is how it looks. So you can see the menu now looks a little bit different here. This UI looks similar to the bottom, to the mobile, but here we have three items displaying at a time. Then we have two items here. However, this third one expands to take over the remaining space, as you can see here, right? And the same thing applies here. There's just the stuff here, just like the mobile. And we still have these two items here. We don't have that other phone design on tablet. But however, you can see the menu still looks different. So you can see we had the fashion text, this fashion stuff take like one line and the socials, then this other share spaces. So this is how it looks on the tablet device, right? So yeah, so um, basically, this is our. So basically, I wanted to let you guys know that whatever Figma design you see on the internet, you can actually design them into actual working code, regardless of how they look and all that stuff. And in this Figma design, there are things like the animations I used and stuff like that. We are not in the Figma design, but I use Common Sense to add those animations. However, there are some times whereby your Figma designs will have specific animations, so you have to follow through. All right. So let's start coding this project from scratch and see where we could reach, right? How far we could go with the development of this project, right? Um, all right, so I'm gonna close this menu and I'm going to create a new file here. I'm just gonna call this file index2 index index2.html. And if you look very well, I've created some folders. So this is called as we created this folder called asset, and in this folder we have three folders: CSS, image, and JavaScript, right? And we also created this folder called components. And in this components folder, we have button, card, typography, and details. So I'm going to explain how these things work shortly, um, so that you guys get it. So let's start with the button component, right? So this is the button component HTML. So let's preview it by the side, right? So we just have this button and this button here. So I designed this separately because it's going to be reused throughout the UI. So when you have a reusable, so when you are given a project, the first thing you should figure out are the reusable parts or sections of the project. So as you can see, we have this button. It appears here. It appears here. If we scroll down a bit, you could see the button appears here again. If you scroll down a bit, you could see it appears here. So we have like a ton of places whereby a button appears. So that's what makes what a component. Something that you see over and over again in the UI that is being used. Another example of a component, you see this stuff here. It's also a component. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but if you see this stuff here, they are also a component because as you can see, it repeats itself here, right? And another component we have is this headers, right? So you could see this header repeats itself here, repeats itself here as well. So these are components, right? Our text in the page, this text here, this friendly text here, you could see have something similar here as well. And we have similar stuff here, though they just have various font sizes. Then we have this one here, but different color. But this header and this one tends to be the same, right? So when you want to create components, the first component I always tell people to start from is typography, which is basically the text, right? So let's go to the typography HTML. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, my laptop is like um, being sluggish right now. I don't know because I observed it when we were about to start the project, the class, right? So the typography HTML, what did I do here, right? So this is where I defined, I first of all defined all the different fonts we have in the web page, right? I gave them names and I designed them. So how it works is I created this file called typography HTML. This meta tag and all this stuff are actually really simple to do. So if you go to this index2.html and you type apostrophe, which is this pound key, and you click on tab or enter, you can see it generates this whole thing. If you don't have this preview here on your own VS Code, if you come here and you click on this arrow right here, you'll be able to see this preview. So this basically tells you what is going to be generated, right? So when you click on it, you can see it's exactly that is being generated here. So that is how I generated most of the boilerplates here, or these ones you see. However, I imported Google Fonts, right? And we've looked at fonts before in our class, right? So basically what happens is I come to my Figma file. First of all, I will change this to developers mode, right? By click on this icon. So then I look at all the fonts that has been used in the website. We have Poppins, right? We look here, let's see this font. This is still Poppins. I think this is a different one. Yeah, so this one, oh, still Poppins. Yeah, I think Poppins was used a lot, but there were places where Poppins wasn't used. So let's look for. I think here is a different one. No Poppins as well. What about the Explore? Poppins. This Poppins. Poppins. This is Poppins. Okay. Poppins was used a lot. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this trending, as you can see, is Poppins, but this text search, yeah, so this search is a different for Inter, right? Let's see again. All right, so Poppins. Let's look at this one. Poppins. What about this? Okay, this is Roboto. Let's see the different font here. And I think this is also Roboto. Yeah, and this one is also Roboto. So we have three fonts in the website. We have Poppins, Inter, and Roboto, right? So what I did, I looked for those fonts on Google Fonts and I imported them, right? So you can see we have Poppins, we have Inter, and we have um, okay, okay. So I did not import Roboto font here. The reason is because I didn't create them in the in this UI. Well, as you can see, we have the Poppins font. Okay, so next comes I have these files that I imported here, right? So this is the index.html. Sorry, base.css. We have button CSS and then typography CSS, right? So let's look at these files. The base.css is basically where I set some predetermined stuff. So this we learned it as a procedural element and when we did box model. So I made all the code, all the elements in my HTML. This code does what it does is it applies this margin of zero, padding of zero, and a box sizing of border box to all of them by default, right? Then next, at this root place, we talked about it. It's where we store variables, right? So I stored various colors. So black, white, yellow, gray, light gray, red, and something I called circle color, right? So these are where I store these colors. And if you notice, I'm using RGBA for the colors. It's recommended to use RGB or RGBA for your colors than using hexadecimal format. So instead of using this, right, um, it's better to use RGBA. And the reason, or RGB, and the reason for that is because most browsers knows how to interpret these colors better compared to whatever format, or compared to those other formats. The next thing I did, I set the root font of the HTML to 10 pixels, right? I can also set this to 16, what's it called, 62. Um, so if we look for, if we go to Google and we say, what is 10, what is 10 in 16, right? So what is the percentage? What is the percentage of, what's the percentage of 10 in 16? So if we should search this really quickly on Google, you would see that it's going to give us something like 62.5%. Yeah, 62.5%. So what it does is I can decide to use 10 pixels or I can use 62.5%. Now, what's the difference? So using 62.5% means that in browsers whereby the default font size is not, because in Chrome browser, the default browser font size for this HTML is 16, right? And um, for some browsers like Internet Explorer is 11, for some browsers like Chrome as well. Each browser has that different font size. So when you say 62.5%, what you are basically doing is that you are setting the something to be 62.5% of whatever the default font size it is. So it practically means that if you should open this website on a Safari browser, it's going to look a little bit more smaller, right? It's going to look a little bit more smaller um, than it would on Chrome. So let me show you what I mean. So if I should come here, sorry, where's this stuff again? So if I should go to the index HTML, I should go to the index HTML and I decide to preview, right? I decide to preview. So if I should copy this URL and I should open my Safari browser, it has been pretty long since I opened my Safari browser. Let's see, where's Safari? I think it's this one. So if I should open my Safari browser, please give all right. So now, if I should paste the URL here, right, and so this, uh, so remember we changed this value here to 62.5%. So why is it not opening? Keep Chrome, not now. What's going on? Uh, okay. So if you look at Safari, right? Um, so if you look at Safari, um, and we look at Chrome, so where's Chrome? Let's open Chrome. I don't know. I have to confirm this, but all right. So if you look at Chrome, if you look at the font in Chrome, it's a little bit bigger compared to that of Safari. Safari, it may not be visually noticeable, but Safari is a scotch smaller compared to Chrome, right? Uh, Compared to Chrome. So, but basically, what that 62.5% does is that it makes it easier for your your code to adjust um, based on the browser you're using. I want to try it on Firefox. So I'm going to quit Safari and try it on Firefox, but I know for sure that Firefox has, yeah, Firefox should have, yeah, so Firefox should have a different measurement by default. So let's see. Oh, great. So it's if you guys, I don't know if you guys can still notice it. Well, Firefox is still loading, but let's wait till it loads. This loading has to do with my network. My internet is not very good, so it's taking a while to load. Okay, so in Firefox, they almost look similar as well. Um, they almost do, but generally, I don't have Windows computers. I would have see how it looked at Edge because Edge tends to be like really big by default. So, but basically, whatever you use, the reason whatever you choose to use, it doesn't really matter. What's most important is that you know what you are using to calculate. So using 62.5%, my goal is to be using what 10 pixels, right? That is my goal. That is why I'm using the 62.5%. You get because my goal is to use 10 pixels. So in the body, I imported the pumpkin fonts, right? And I imported some other new fonts as well. If you may be wondering, Will, how do we get all these fonts? Well, basically, if you're in your VS Code and you type font family, right? Once you type font family, if you click on Control and space bar, it's going to suggest like a ton of fonts you could use. I normally use this one after putting the fonts I want the browser to have, such as Poppins for in this scenario. I normally select this one as an additional font. So these ones basically use the system, use your computer's font as the system UI font as the default one. If not, it defaults to the next one, just like that. It just defaults to whatever font is available, right? So that's what I normally use, and that is why you could see when the fonts you get to be loaded on the browser, it's displayed differently just now. And then I created some values like this in color inherit. So what this does is whatever value an a tag, whatever color is being set for an a tag, it will just inherit that color. But I made the text decoration display as none because by default a tags are underlined. I created this variable called size, right? And by default, this size is going to be displayed as 6 pixels. However, when However, when the screen size is 400 pixels and above, this size is going to be increased to 8 pixels. And when it is more than 700 pixels in width, this size is going to increase to 10 pixels. Then I created some short classes such as P relative to display relative, main width, M dash width. I created it to set max width value to this and set width, the margin to 0 for top and bottom, left and right to be auto. To center whatever element is using this max width value. I created M1 for margin, margin one rem. I created D none for display none. I did for display inline block. I did for text capitalize, text uppercase, and I created a preframe called rotate. And what does it's basically just transform the element to 360. So basically, whatever position it is, it will rotate it 360 degrees. So basically, that's what that keyframe does. Keyframes are ways to create animations in your CSS in CSS, right? After our coding class today, we have what's it called? CSS. So the tutorials you guys are missing out on, we give it to you guys as videos to watch later. All right. So now we have the. So this is basically what we have with the base, right? CSS. So I want to be able to use some of all these classes and some of all these values. That is why I imported them in the typography, right? So that's why I imported them. So let's see. If you look at the typography section, um, in the typography section, um, we have different text, right? So I'm just going to display them side by side here. So we have, so you see this lex that is here, this first one here, right? This is how I created it, right? This is how I created it. Note what is important are not the HTML tags, but the classes, right? So I created this class called shake container. If we go to the component.css, in the typography.css, you will see some of all these classes. So for example, this text value you see here, by default, it's set to 4, and later with 400 I increase it to 5, at with 700 I increase it to 6, and at 1000 pixels I increase it to 8, and 1044 pixels I increase it to 10. Right? That's one. Then look at the shake container. So this is how the shake container looks. By default, it displays block, meaning it takes up the available space. Next, I made the width fit content so it doesn't grow more than the content area of the box model. The next, we have this class called shake. This shake, this shake class is under this component, this container. Um, uh, so as you can see from this demonstration here, it says there's an element that has the word class, shake container, and as a child or grandchild, it doesn't really matter. What happens is that it has this shake container and this shake class in it. As long as it does, this style will be applied. So this shake class displays block of 8. It makes I gave a height of 100. Then I'm using this calc value. So what this calc does is it takes 100% of the width and add 15 rem to it. So what is, remember, um, meaning this, whenever we're using this container, we just add whatever the value of the width is plus 15 m would give us the value of what this width is supposed to be. So the reason is, for those who are wondering, you see this white background that is here. If you notice, there's like this extra length that is added to it, right? This is where this thing comes from. So if I should reduce this to, let's say, 5, right? Watch what happens here. You can see this length now is shorter, isn't it? It's shorter. So I use 15. And the reason I did this is because I'm trying to mimic what we have in our UI. So if you look here, you could see there's like this space, right? It's like this space. Though the spaces are different for unique and lets, but since it's programming, we can't have different space for this. So I just made it um, the same value. So that's why you see they have equal number of length space at the end of it. Next, I added the background color by default to be white, right? However, if there's also a class called shake yellow. So whenever we apply shake yellow to the same container here, it will override the background color of white by yellow. And the reason for that is basically, remember, two reasons. One, we have this important class here, and two, we this comes before this in terms of CSS hierarchy. So this one will automatically override this. Using this important here is just to be explicitly sure, you get, in case this positioning for some reason gets misplaced, but it's important to always make sure this one takes precedence, right? So next, there's this margin left of 2 rem. That's why you could see that this something is always at the edge of the device, right? Then we have this animation. I added an animation called slide to shake. So slide to shake is the first animation that plays, that slides in, right? Then the next shake is the next animation that plays in. So watch, if I should increase this value to, let's say, 3 seconds, watch what's going to happen. So you can see it slides in within 3 seconds, right? Slides in within 3 seconds, and then it starts shaking. Anyway, there's a little bit of calculation that goes into the animation, but I don't want you guys to dwell too much on the animation. What I just want you to know is that this is responsible for that. And with that, we have this whole shake container. Now, the text inside the shake container, like this let that we have here, or this unique that we have here, I also did a little bit of styling to them, and these are the styles I applied to them, right? And those who are interested in seeing the animations, this is the animation. I did translate X. So translate X means um, it's going to move from the left-hand side. You get, it's going to move negative 100% to the left. That is why when the animation starts, we don't see it at all in the UI. And then it comes into negative. It comes into negative. It comes into 0%, which is by default the amount, um, the regular place for transitioning of elements. Now, there's also this opacity. That was why initially, if you see, it's not very clear. If you look, it's not very clear, but later it became clearer. This opacity is the one responsible for that. Then this is a shake animation. So basically what happens is it goes from -3 degree to +3 degrees. So you can see down, up, down, up, down, up. So -3 degrees to +3 degrees. However, when I'm making use of this animation, I made it to loop infinitely. So what happens is it will never stop. So this value alternate, what it means is that whenever the so when you create animations, there's a property called there's a property that you use to set the what happens after the animation occurs. So when you alternate, it means you are choosing between when you use alternate, it means the animation will proceed from where it stopped. So basically, it comes down. So basically, it will decide whether it's going to start from top to bottom, right, or from bottom to top. So sometimes the animation starting point can be from the top shaking down, or it could be from the down shaking upwards. So that's what this alternate does. It alternates between those two sections. So basically, alternates basically either starting from the toe point or it will start from the front point. It's going to alternate between them depending on like whatever. It's just random. Then we have this is what there's a, I created a class called H1 container, and this H1 containers is what I use to style my H1. So this H1 we are seeing here, this is what I use to style it, and we have this font size as 8M. So you may be wondering why did I use M in the size? Well, as we discussed earlier, M uses the current containers font size and multiply it with our M value. So what it means is that since these are components, when you are building components in HTML, right, you should build them in a way that as long as they are components, things like their sizes, width, and height should be controlled by the people controlling them. You could obviously set default values, but it should generally be controlled by them. So what it means is that when I'm consuming this H1, so look here in this H1 code here, there's this value called text that I put here. So this text here represents the size that's going to be multiplied with that's going to be multiplied with this 8 rem. So if you look upward, remember we have this text right by default is 4. So meaning our H1 at that by default it will be 4 times 8, right? And I don't know the value for 4 times 8, but I think it's about 24 pixels, right? Yeah, this is going to be 4 times 5 as at 400 pixels and above, and 4 times 6 at 700 pixels and above, and 8 times 8 for 1000 pixels and above. Then for 1044 pixels and above, it's going to be 10 times 8, which is 80 pixels. So that is why our font tends to grow based on the screen size that we are at. So let's look, right? So if you look at when, I want to do something. So I'm going to make this thing smaller. So when it is small like this, you could see the font reduced in size drastically, right? If I should click on this, you can come to computer. You can see our font size here is showing 32 pixels, right? 32 pixels. And if you're wondering how does it calculate this 32 pixels, if you expand on the font here, so I'm going to click on something more stable because of the whole animation that is going on and stuff. So let's see. Where's the Explore? Okay. So if you look at you can see it's cutting it from this 8m, and this 8m is going to use this 4 to calculate. So that's how we got 32. So 4 times 8 will give us 32. However, if we go to like 400 pixels, now what you see, the fonts and this in the website automatically felt like it was growing, right? So if we go to 700 and above, look, um, our font size still remain because of whatever values. So um, look at the Explorer. You can see it has grown because it's using um, what is this? Sorry. Um, so okay, so as you can see, it's changed to 6 pixels, right? And if we go to like 1,000 pixels or something, uh, it increases to 8, which is the font size, which is going to be like remember, whatever font size you are using is going to be multiplied by the m value, right? So if you look at the what's it called? So this H1 text here, you can see it's 8 times the 20 times 8 times 8 that gives us 64. And at a lower screen size, you can see it was like 6 times 8 that gave us 48. So that is how the font keeps increasing and reducing based on those values I've set. So, and the same thing applies for every other font we have in the system. So we have this one here for H2, we have for um, and some of the fonts involves setting some media query to change some certain things based on some certain space size. And one thing you would have noticed is that I work when I do write media query, I write it based on the context of where it's being used. So this text size, I wrote the text and I wrote all the media query relating to the text here. Then when it came to something like this shake container, this shake stuff that has to do with animation, you can see immediately after I wrote all the classes, then I wrote the animations specifically to this shake stuff. And the same thing applies here. After I'm done with my H2 and whatever I wanted the H2 to be, what did you see? I made the, I wrote the media query immediately after it. There are times where media query would repeat itself, like we'll have multiple 1044 pixels, right? As you can see, we have one here and we have one here as well. Underneath here, right? You can see, and we also have one here as well. But it doesn't really matter because what is important right now is the fact that um, the um, the media query is going to apply. So I did this. I write code this way personally to make things feel more organized. Some people may decide to write all the media queries that has to do with 1044 pixels in one place, right? What? What? Oh yes, but decide to separate it this way. Whichever way you choose, it's up to you and your discretion. So this is all about the typography section I'm going to cover, right? So basically we wrote a bunch of CSS code and we've looked at many of these CSS. They may look like a lot, but not really change. With all these codes, I don't think there's anyone new to you guys apart from this animation here. And this animation is not really important. If you comment on it, what it just does is it stops this thing from animating. That's all, right? So um, yeah. So now when my typography is done and stuff, I made another component button, and button component is like really easy and straightforward, right? So so if I go to my uh, components here and I click on button, you could see we just have if you see we just have like one button and this other one. This stuff that is here, I just made it with button. You can see this is the HTML and this is the CSS, the HTML and this is the CSS for the button. right? And what I did was I created a button class, right? And I styled the font separately. I created what it's going to look like on hover, right? And I also did media queries for button as well, as you can see. However, there's this one called curve, which is basically this one you're seeing here. So this is all in the button CSS. I also did for other stuff. So let's see card. So this is how card looks like. So basically card is just a simple example that just shows like a design and the animation applied to it. So if we go to the card.css, you will see we just have this word.card displays flex, and the flex is column. So basically, this picture and these words here are arranged in form of column. We've looked at flex before. I made the cursor pointer. That's why you see this cursor changing from this state to like a hand, right? I made a row gap, which is the space between here, 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 and here, to be this value. And I created a hover effect. And you can see this hover effect just does what? It just scales. And the reason why this scale feels smooth is because of this transition property that is here. So when I put transition property, it basically makes this scaling work smoother. And I made this width of the image 100%, meaning by default, it's going to take whatever available space there is. So if I should put it in a small section of your website when I'm using it, or a larger section, it doesn't really matter. It's going to take whatever space that is available. Then I made it curve border radius 2. So this curve you see at this edge here, and the curve you see here, all these curves. That's just what it does. Then we looked at the footer. So the footer itself is a flex. So basically this one here, right? And then I made it space between. So basically it means to put a space, an equal space between whatever element. Since we just have two elements, it means one will go to the far right, while one will go to the far left, right? Then I aligned the items to the center, so both of them will be in the same line, right? And I also made it with 100%, so take whatever space is available. Then I did media query to change font size. So based on the screen size, the text would become larger or smaller based on specific screen size. So that's all there is to card. The next component I created that I want to talk about is the utilities component. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more jarring, right? So because utility component does a lot of stuff. So as you can see, it was in this utility component I created this whole animation, you get, and this whole design. And just like the HTML, just like the card, you can see it's taking 100% in terms of the width. So no matter how I increase it, here it's always going to take 100%. And there are some things that shows based on the UI. So as you can see, at this point, it will show the phone and this thing keeps bouncing around, but that wiggle behind it doesn't show, right? So that is just the CSS hiding and displaying stuff at will. You get. So now, all this code, all this HTML code here was used to create all these various things. So basically, for those who are interested, I actually did design every single part of this thing myself. Um, I did not use like SVG or something like that, or an image. Every single part, and that is why you could see the animations we applied on the card can be applied here as well. So now let's go into enough talk, right? Let's go into re-practice. Oh, this is already 9. Oh boy. Okay, so today we are going to stop here today. Today we just because time is already up. I'm sorry about that, but I went through all the components I created today, right? And tomorrow we are going to use those components to build out this layout. So you guys could also request for the source code of this project. I can send it to you guys as well. So you guys would remember to to you guys remember to so that you guys could like explore it on your own. I can send you the source code. But tomorrow I'm going to show you why breaking things into components like this can help breaking things into components like this can help your code become way more easier for you to develop a full screen or multiple websites. And I'm also going to show you some of the JavaScript tricks we use to design things like the navigation button on mobile screen that you can see here, right? So we're going to look into that. I'm going to show you the how we got all this text to be writing, how we got these things to be sliding, and all that. So that's what we're going to be happening in tomorrow's class. But today, I'm just showing you guys like the list of the way I organized my project and how I was able to break part of or complicated part of the website into pieces that I used later on. So for summary, I had the following. I had the assets folder and the components folder. The assets folder was where things like the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files are, and sorry, the images files. As you can see, these are all the images and icons I use on the website. Once you have the source code, you can check it out yourself. Then for the JavaScript, there are some plugins I use. The plugins code are here. The JavaScript code I use are here. Tomorrow we are going to explore this section. And the CSS, I grouped my CSS into different sections, right? So we are going to look at all this grouping later. But what I want you guys to know was that in the HTML, I created things in chunks. So we created buttons, we created cards, we created typography and utilities. So basically, parts of the website that are going to be reused or that involves a ton of work, I created them into smaller chunks that I could reuse anywhere I want within the application. So by tomorrow, we are going to build all the layouts little by little together, and I'm going to show you how they work basically, and how each part of the code affects different things, right? So, um, I don't. So I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you guys have any questions, you could ask, and if not, we'll see you tomorrow. Is there any question?
Thank you, Will. I've not seen any question yet. There are no questions here, so I'm just waiting for them to send questions. Guys, you have about 1 minute to send in your questions. So if you have questions, start sending it in. Okay, for the source code, Will has already promised to share it, so you get it. So okay, 1 more minute, guys. Kindly drop your questions. So let's just give. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
So
since there are no question, I think it's good to we can call it a day.
okay. So Amaka, I've sent the. You can reach out to Amaka. I've sent her the source code on WhatsApp, so she could give it out to the students later on.
All right, no problem. I think this question just came in. It said, "How can we set the website to developers view?"
Oh, the it's not the website. It's more of the what's it called? The uh, the Chrome. Uh, what's it called? The Figma file, right? So once you have Figma, you will just see the button at the top whenever you open any Figma file. So let me show you. Let me share my screen. Um, so when you open any Figma file, regardless of what the file is, you will see this um, button here. So you toggling it off and on changes between design mode and developer mode. So this button here. It's just there. Whenever you have Figma, whether you're using desktop, the web version or the desktop version, it works that way. Um, let's see. I don't know. I don't think I have the link to this Figma file. I don't think I do anymore. But I'll just send you guys the just the source code so you guys could have that. Any other question?
Yes. Can the component code be written without HTML?
Uh, the answer is no. The components is made up of both the HTML and the CSS codes, right? And in some cases, the sometimes in some cases when you design codes for components, you may even involve JavaScript. So the components, the term may look big, right? But what components simply means it's part of a whole. Just using look at it that way. That's the meaning of component in tech. Or let me say a small example as possible to explain that. So it's a part of a whole. That's how you could see components. And whatever you use to create those components is up to what you are building, what you are doing. So in this scenario, we are building using HTML and CSS. So there's no way we can create components without it. Next question.
So how can you connect the components together?
So in tomorrow class, you'll see it. In tomorrow's class, you'll see how to connect them together. But for those who are just curious, let me just quickly share my screen to satisfy your curiosity. Um, to satisfy your curiosity, I'm just going to do something quickly. So so what I see now, so if you look at this page, so guys, look, this page is blank right now, isn't it? We don't have anything. So I'm just going to put a button here that says H1, right? And I'm going to put a text here, right? You see it, right? So now if I want to apply a component that we've created here, so all I have to do, let's go to the typography section now, for example. And let's say I want to apply this let's component that is here. All I have to do is I'll just copy this entire code here, right? And in my HTML, I'm going to just paste it, right? I'll replace this p tag with h1, right? And I'll replace this header, this let that is here with the header, right? So with this, I've done the minimum of using the component. The next thing now, if you look at the typography section, we imported some files, isn't it? As you can see, we imported some files. So all I have to do is I'll just have to copy these files that I've imported, right? And if I come to my HTML here and click on paste, uh, and click on paste, and I'm going to update some things like these places here that have doubles forward slash actually just need a single forward slash like this, right? So now I'm going to put like a background color to this to the body so that you can see what is happening. So I'm just going to say style. Let's just do it here in the head section. So in the head section, I'm just going to write style. I'm going to say style, um, body, and I'll say background color to be. So I'm going to change this from this white to something. Let us see, so like a grayish gray. So you can now see, you see, it has already applied all the styles we've put in. So that's how we use components in like in our applications basically. So this is just a a quick example to show you guys that the component is being used. And in this case, if I should put use typography, if I should come here, if I want the yellow one instead of this white one, if I come here and collect this yellow this yellow class that is here and apply it here in my own shape, so you can see this shape that is here, apply this yellow class, you can see that's changed. So that's how we use components basically. You'll see it more fully tomorrow. Okay,
All
so the
right.
name of
So
the extension I used, the name of
uh-huh.
the extension I used is called for the mobile view stuff. It's called mobile simulator whatever. So I'm going to go to manage extensions in Chrome, and so this is the name of the extension. So if you should Google this um, uh, and you search Chrome extension, it should give you the URL to it. So this is the URL to the extension. So I'm gonna send this extension to Marka on WhatsApp as well, so she could yeah. Okay. So let's see. Is there any other question? It says I heard about EJS files somewhere. Apparently they are used to okay, yeah. So EJS files, it's you use them when you work with Node.js and Express framework, right? So but that's totally different from what we're doing here. But EJS is used specifically with Node.js and Express. Okay, so I've sent the extension. Okay, so how the typography was linked into the button. So basically, it's the same thing. I'll show you guys tomorrow about that. But okay, let me just quickly say this. So if I share my screen now, and if we go to the code base, uh, sorry, I'm looking for my okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So if we go to the button, um, the button CSS, right? So the button HTML. Yeah. So um, okay, so there's this button text I use. Okay, so I use this button text class, and this button text class, actually, I think I wrote the CSS for the button separately for the button text class. I think, yeah, I did, I did. However, I don't think I think the font family for the button is inherited from the body of the website. So if you remember in our base CSS, I made the body of the website. I created this Popkins font, I created a font width and a font style, right? So basically, the button will automatically inherit those font properties. The button CSS will automatically inherit those font properties. Um, the only thing I just did was change the size. That's what I did. But if you want to use any of the custom but stuff we have on the typography section, for instance, all you have to do is just go to the typography HTML, right? Once you go to typography HTML, copy. For example, if you want to use this this button that is here or whatever that is here, you just have to copy this, right? And once you copy this, you change the H2 to like button, right? And every other thing will just work. So that's how you use it. You can always change these elements here This, especially these first ones, you could always change them, right? But to whatever element you choose, it will render the same way. Okay. So yeah, so that was the last question. Don't worry, tomorrow you guys will see how we build the different layouts, how we break the layout and all that stuff. You'll see that way better tomorrow, right? And you can always
All right.
have the copy of the source code and um, comment on stuff to go through to see what it does what and all that stuff.
All right. So, guys, we continue from here tomorrow. Thank you so much, Will. I shared the code with you both on Discord and WhatsApp. So, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Will.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.